The new Premier League season is starting next week, so it is time for me to show my immaculate ball knowledge.
Okay.
Or more likely, just to embarrass myself by the end of the season.
That's better. Thank you.
I am doing a Premier League predictions. Now, I've actually never done this before, not on YouTube anyway, so whatever happens, this will be the most accurate predictions I've ever done. However, I haven't timed it very well because I think this is going to be one of the most competitive years the Premier League has seen in a long time. But let me not waste any more time, let me just go ahead and embarrass myself. So, here we have our tier list for the Premier League. We've got the champions, we've got 2nd to 4th, Europa League 5th and 6th, Europa Conference, which would be 7th. The mid-table is split up into two, the higher and the lower, and then the relegation zone. Honestly, I've been umming and ahhing about this. I've been changing my mind quite frequently, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going for it now. Right, we're going to start from bottom to top. So starting off in the relegation zone, I think this one is pretty obvious, although I could be surprised. In 20th, we're going Luton. To be honest, I don't even think they have a stadium that they can use right now. They actually have signed some players that I've heard of. Chong from Birmingham, obviously he used to play for Man United. And they have also secured Marvelous Nakamba, who was on loan, I imagine, for them last season. And he was part of the reason why they got promoted. So they might surprise me, but to be honest, I can't see them making it out of the league. For me, they are going to be rock bottom 20th place. The other two spots is where it gets a bit techie, right? 19th, I'm going Bournemouth. It's an unpopular decision, probably with Bournemouth fans at least, but I think they're just going to have second season syndrome. I just don't think they're going to do that well, to be honest. They have also made some signings. They've secured that Traore guy. That's terrible ball knowledge for me. Hamad Traore, is that his name? He was on loan at the back end of last season and he did quite well. They've also signed Justin Kluivert, so they've bolstered their attack quite well. And they've also signed a left back who I'm not even going to pretend I know who that is. And they've signed Radu, the goalkeeper. So they have strengthened in some areas, but I just don't see them doing well. And I also kind of want them to go down because I have no idea why they sacked Gary O'Neill after he kept them up in the league. But I guess it made sense to someone. But I think they're going down. Along with, and this one might be a surprise, I'm going for Crystal Palace. I just don't think Palace have enough to stay up this season. Zaha has gone. Elise looks like he's going. At the time of recording this, he hasn't gone yet, but probably will, let's be honest. They haven't really brought anyone in. They've got a manager who's pushing 90. I mean, it's just not
looking good, bruv.
But that is my relegation zone. Now, the lower mid-table is an absolute fest. To be honest, anyone from 10th down could go down. The league is going to be all over the place this year. I've got absolutely no idea. 17th, I've got Sheffield United. It was between them and Luton for me, who are going to be rock bottom. I think one of them will be rock bottom and one of them will scrape it. I don't know which will be which. Maybe they both go down, but this is my prediction and I'm probably going to be wrong. They haven't really signed anyone that I know of and I don't really know the squad that well. So for that reason, I just don't think they're going to do that well, to be honest. I'm putting them 17th. In 16th place, 16th! I am going the mighty Tricky Trees Nottingham Forest. They obviously signed 87,000 players last season and hopefully now they will have gelled together, so that's the reason I think they'll stay up. I do hope they keep Steve Cooper because I do actually rate him quite highly as a manager. He's doing quite well. They've signed Elanga from Man United, who obviously fits their team quite well because they are quite a counter-attacking team. I think he'll do well with some regular first team football, and if they can keep hold of Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White, I think they'll do alright, to be honest. I think they'll stay up. In 15th, I'm putting Fulham. Now, to be honest, Fulham could be anywhere from 10th to relegation, to be honest. I have got absolutely no idea what is going on. There are talks of Mitrovic leaving. They've signed Raul Jimenez, and I do rate Raul Jimenez. I love him as a player, but he's just not been the same since he cracked his head open, which is understandable. However, that is pretty much the only signing they've made as far as I'm aware. Now, he would obviously replace Mitrovic if Mitrovic was to leave. But is he the same kind of goal scorer? I don't know. I don't think he is, personally. I don't know where Fulham will end up, but I've predicted 15th.
Cheers, Jeff.
14th, I'm going West Ham, and West Ham as well are another team like Fulham. I have no idea where they'll end up, to be honest. They haven't signed anyone so far. As far as I'm aware, I'm recording this on the 5th of August. They've signed no one. And they've lost their club captain, Declan Rice, and they've got European football this year. They've got the Europa League. So to be honest, West Ham could get relegated. I mean, it's an absolute mystery right now. Any of these teams could finish anywhere. All of these teams could be relegated, to be honest. I've got no idea. But I do think European football will eventually attract people to play for West Ham. They will eventually make some signings, and I trust David Moyes. You know, he's been around the bush long enough. And then finally, in the lower mid-table, in 13th, I'm going Everton, which is quite high for them, to be honest. And as a Liverpool fan, that hurts me to put them that high up. I just trust Sean Dyche, to be honest. I just think he knows what he's doing. I don't know what he's cooking over there, but he's definitely got a plan. They've got Danjuma on loan, which is a good signing. And for some reason, I couldn't tell you why, they've signed Ashley Young.
But why? Why would you do that?
Don't like to see it, but I think Sean Dyche does actually have a plan. Knowing Sean Dyche, he'll be 4-4-2 Brexit football, trying to snap the opponent's legs. I think that would be good enough football to get them 13th. Moving on into the higher mid-table, in 12th, I'm going for promoted Burnley. Now, this is no longer the Sean Dyche Burnley hoof it long ball. This is company ball. I'm not going to sit here and say that I watched the Championship last year. Why would I have done that? But looking at the stats, they lost 3 out of 46 games last year, and they were Centurions in the Championship. Now, I know this is the Championship, but still 3 losses out of 46 games. Their defence might be better than I think. They've also strengthened in some areas. They've got 2 goalkeepers. They've signed Trafford, the England under-21s hero, and they signed this Donny. I can't pronounce his name, but he got Team of the Season on FIFA, so he clearly did all right for Leyton Orient last year. And they have also strengthened the attack. They've signed Redmond, and they've signed Jacob Brun-Larsen from Hoffenheim. I think those are good squad players, if nothing else. I don't actually know the Burnley squad that well at all, but I trust Vincent Kompany. He's doing something right. I think they'll get 12th. 11th, I'm going for Wolves, and I don't know why, because it seems quite high up, to be honest. They've lost Jimenez, and they've lost Saudi Donny, what's his name? Ruben Neves. They've lost Ruben Neves. For this mid-table, for me, it kind of just comes down to the managers and the signings. They haven't signed that many players. I don't really know of any big ones, but Lopetegui I trust. I think he'll do well. He definitely knows what he's doing, and for that reason, I think Wolves will be all right. Now, moving on into 10th. This is the top half of the table. I'm putting Brentford in 10th. Now, the only reason they're quite low down, to be honest, for Brentford, but also quite high up, Ivan Toney, their lethal goal scorer, penalty converter, is banned until January.
Jesus Christ.
They've literally not got their starting striker for half a season. They're going to have to rely on Umbermo and Wissa, who are decent, to be fair. Toney was a big part of Brentford's football. They normally launched it long towards him and he'd knock it down. They have made some signings, but I think they need an Ivan Toney replacement. Otherwise, Thomas Frank is going to have to reinvent the way Brentford play, to be honest. In 9th, I'm going Brighton, which again might be quite low. They could very easily do better than 9th. But honestly, the top half, the teams that are left, it's competitive. It's very, very competitive this year. Brighton have obviously lost Alexis McAllister, and it looks like they're going to lose Caicedo. They haven't currently, but it's pretty much been confirmed Caicedo will leave. However, they have made quite a few signings. They've signed Igor from Fiorentina. I'm not going to pretend like I knew who that was. Verbruggen, a backup goalkeeper. They've got Dahoud and obviously Jimmy Milner, my James Milner, who's still going at the age of 58.
Close enough.
Those are all decent squad players that will no doubt rotate in and out, and they've signed João Pedro from Watford, who I think will do very well this season, along with Julio Enciso and Kara Matoma, and the fact they just keep producing wonder kids out of nowhere. I think Brighton will do well again this season. However, it is very competitive, so I only think they will be 9th. And the final position in this higher mid-table, 8th place, I'm going the mighty Aston Villa. Simply because Unai Emery is a very good manager, unless he's managing Arsenal.
We mustn't forget that it's been raining, so
they could finish higher with the squad they have, I think. They've signed Moussa Diaby from Leverkusen. That is an incredible signing for them, along with Pau Torres and Tielemans from Leicester, who obviously a few seasons ago was on Man United's radar, so he's clearly a very good Premier League midfielder. However, the reason I've only put them 8th is because they've actually got European football this year. They did qualify for the Europa Conference League. What a competition that is. And I actually think they've got the squad to go on and win it, so they'll be in there for the long haul. Will that impact them in the league? I don't know, but I think it might, so I'm putting them 8th. And this is where it gets techie as we move into the top 7. 7th place, it's unpopular. I'm putting Spurs, right? Hear me out. They've got no European football. I'll give you that. They can fully focus on the league and the domestic cups. However, if they lose Harry Kane, which they, honestly, we're here every season. They might lose Harry Kane, they might not lose Harry Kane. And I think he will leave, which is why I've put them 7th. However, if he stays, obviously they might finish quite higher up. They've got Postecoglou now, who is a decent manager, but he was decent in the Scottish League, and so was Steven Gerrard, and we know how that went. They have obviously signed James Maddison as well, which is a good signing for them, but I still think they need a couple more. A Kane replacement, if Kane does go, obviously, and then maybe 1 or 2 more centre-backs, because Romero is doing it by himself currently. For me, Spurs, they're still Spurs, aren't they? I'm going 7th. In 6th, this might be an unpopular one again. I'm going for Newcastle, and I'm going 6th because I think this season will be a sort of mid-season. They won't really do too much, and then next season they will push on again and then achieve even better than last season. Obviously this year they qualified for Champions League, which is all they wanted to do last season, so they've got that to compete with as well as the Prem, and I don't know whether they've got the squad for both, to be honest. I can't really see Dan Burn tearing it up in the Champions League and then having to put a shift in the Prem on the weekend. I can't see him doing 2 games a week. They have obviously signed Tonali and Harvey Barnes, who are, I think, good signings for them, but we'll have to wait and see how they do. I think this season will just be like a coasting season, and I think they'll get Europa League minimum, and then who knows where they'll go from there. In 5th, unpopular, might be slightly biased, I'm going Man United.
Oh no! Oh no! You're having a laugh!
Obviously, Eric Ten Hag is doing well. They've signed a couple players, Macy Mount. They've signed Onana, who so far has just conceded loads of goals in pre-season, but that might be the defence more than him. And obviously recently they signed a striker, Rasmus Højlund. I've never watched him kick a football in my life, and they have got Champions League football again this year, which I think could be a focus for them. I don't really know. To be honest, looking at the squad they have currently, I think they still need a couple of signings, maybe another centre-back, because if Varane or Martinez gets injured, their backups are looking pretty shaky. So I think they'll be 5th. They could easily finish higher, but to be honest, as a Liverpool fan, 5th sounds pretty good to me. Moving into the top 4 then, in 4th, I'm going Chelsea. They've got no European football, they can focus on the league and the domestic cups, and they've sold so many people. They've had a huge clear out. They've got rid of Kante, Koulibaly, Kovacic, Edouard Mendy, Havertz, Loftus-Cheek, Bakayoko, Mason Mount, Azpilicueta, Pulisic, Ampadu and Aubameyang.
Damn!
And it's only the start of August. They could sell more players, which has obviously brought in quite a fair bit of money as well. Not that Todd Boehly needed an excuse to spend loads of money, because they just spend for the sake of spending, to be honest. But they've got Nkunku this year, they've got Jackson this year. As well as that, they've also got Mudryk, Madueke, Enzo Fernandez, all the players that flopped last season. However, I think under Poch, they will have a very good year. Poch definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, he took Spurs to a Champions League final. The only reason I think they'll finish 4th is because they got a lot of players. They got a lot of egos to deal with, a lot of players that will obviously want to play. I think Chelsea get 4th. 3rd, might be biased, but I got to back my boys. I'm going Liverpool. Liverpool cannot have another season like last season. Otherwise, for one, Klopp will leave and I'll just cry. I think they've got rid of 10 or 12 players, Liverpool, including a lot of midfielders. Naby Keita is gone, Oxlade-Chamberlain's gone, Milner is gone, Fabinho's gone, Henderson, the club captain, has gone. And so far, the only players we've brought in, Alexis McAllister and Szoboszlai, who are very good, but they need more signings, Liverpool. They need at least a centre-back, maybe 2, and preferably a holding midfielder to replace Fabinho, because currently we've got nothing. So I believe that they will make those signings, because I think they have to be honest, to survive. If they don't, very easily could they drop out of the Champions League spots, maybe below Newcastle. Maybe we get Conference League, who knows? Oh, Jesus Christ. Liverpool is the one that I think could drop out, but that could be me being pessimistic. Honestly, this could be the most competitive league we've seen in a very long time. Or at least for second place. Speaking of second place, once again I'm going Arsenal. I just think currently they are the best of the rest. I think they've got Champions League obviously, which will be a focus because they haven't had that for years, but the team that they haven't really lost anyone apart from Xhaka, and they've replaced him with Declan Rice for 100 and God knows million, which I think is a very, very good signing. They've also got Havertz as well. Not as good, but he might tear it up. Who knows? Jurrien Timber, he might do well. I've never watched him kick a football. I just think they need a couple more squad players that they can rotate in and out to deal with the extra football that they've got with the Champions League as well. And then obviously the champions, let's not beat around the bush, it's going to be City again. They have lost Riyad Mahrez and they have lost Gundogan, but they've signed Mateo Kovacic and they've signed Gvardiol from Leipzig today as of recording. They could even sign more before the start of the season. I mean, they're just going to do well, aren't they? They're just going to win. Like, there's no, I don't need to sit here and explain why they're going to win. They're just going to win. And this is my Premier League predictions. Looking at it now, I don't feel confident, but maybe I look like a genius. That's very unlikely, but I can always hope, can't I? Now, obviously, if you want to call me an idiot in the comments, feel free. You know, it's a free country, go for it. But that is where I'm going to end this video. If you guys have enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like down below. If you're new around here, please feel free to subscribe. Turn on those notifications to get more terrible ball knowledge. And I'll see you in another video. See ya.
Oh no! You're having a laugh! What are we doing?